Let's bring in Missouri GOP Senator Josh Hawley, member of the House Judiciary Committee and former Attorney General of that state. Senator, thanks for joining us. What you have seen of the House bill that's now in your lap, what do you like, what don't you like?
Well, I like the fact that it does move quickly. I like the fact that it gets relief quickly to businesses, particularly small to medium-sized businesses. There are some aspects of it that I certainly wouldn't have drafted that way, but my view is we need to move on this quickly. I hope that if there are any amendments in the Senate, that they will be processed very, very fast. But listen, we're in the middle of a national emergency, as the president said, and my view is we need to process the House bill, which the White House negotiated, as quickly as possible, and then move on, because there's a lot to do here, and families in particular, families and working families, workers individually, they need some support and relief.
Yeah, tell us exactly what relief you are going to give to those parents, because there are 30 million children that are out of school right now. My friends, they're having to cover their work shifts, or they're to stay home with their kids, or they're trying to get babysitters or get their parents to fly in. What exactly are you doing to help those moms and those dads that need the extra money?
Yeah, it's crazy for parents right now. I mean, with, again, 30 million kids out of school. My kids are out of school. Schools all over my state are closing. I think we need to direct relief to working families right now. So today I'm going to propose an emergency family relief program. This would send relief to families based on the number of children that they have and the size of their income based on need, to help parents who are having to stay home and care for a child, who are having to maybe care for a loved one, who are having to try and find some sort of child care so that they can go on working. I think we need to get relief into the hands of working families right now. It's great to look to businesses. It's great to support business. We've got to do that. But let's not forget that it's workers and families who are the true backbone of our economy, and they need relief ASAP.
Okay, and I know this is the early stages of this idea, but how much money are you talking about putting in the hands of people, and how do they get it quickly? You know, the government isn't set up for that right now.
Well, the IRS is set up to disperse reimbursements for income taxes, for instance. So there is a mechanism there in place for the IRS. You know, one of the advantages, I suppose, of having to pay our taxes as we do every year is that the IRS does know how to contact Americans quickly. So I think we should use the IRS disbursement process. As to the amount, the IRS estimates that a family of four, a middle-income family of four, spends about $1,800 a month on basic expenses. That's not amenities, but just basic expenses. So the idea would be to cover some increment of that to try to give working families some relief.
All right, so you got access to free testing, 2 weeks paid leave, enhancing unemployment insurance, strengthening food security initiatives. I imagine that's a school program, which people aren't getting food if they're not going to school, increases federal Medicaid funding to states. Now, you're talking about also enhancing this, and you're also talking about putting this for 37 states that have told their kids you can't go to school, it's too dangerous. Do you believe there should be one policy for the whole country, or do you like the way the president's doing it, empowering governors?
You know, I'd like to see the CDC, Centers for Disease Control, issue some uniform guidance. I don't know that the federal government has the authority to order governors. I mean, they can strongly encourage. I mean, this is just our system of federalism, right? They can strongly encourage governors and mayors to take certain steps. But I do think it would be helpful for the Centers for Disease Control to issue uniform guidance and to say, listen, here is our strong recommendation across the board. I know that as I talk to cities in my state and mayors, they are saying, you know, sometimes we're not sure what to do. Right. We wish that there was uniform guidance that we could follow. So I think that would be helpful.
Just out of curiosity, Senator, you're from Missouri, out in the middle next to Kansas, where I'm from. You know, I've talked to my family out there, and they do not feel impacted. Whereas I'm sitting in New York, along with Brian and Ainsley. You're in Washington, two cities that have hot spots. What do you make of the people who are not impacted, not quite getting that this is such a pressing, urgent item?
Well, I'm afraid that it will soon come to the whole country. I mean, everybody's going to feel like this soon. But I can just tell you in Missouri, They're buying up the hand sanitizer, they're buying up toilet paper. If you went around to stores this past weekend in Joplin, Missouri, and in Springfield, Missouri, where there's several cases in the middle of the state, you are seeing people who are responding to this. And so I think there is widespread concern. And listen, there's no need to panic. The fear doesn't do anybody any good. We are going to beat this. I mean, there's no doubt about it. We are going to beat it, period. The question is, can we flatten that curve? Can we make sure that our healthcare system doesn't get overwhelmed? And can we make sure our economy continues to function well? That's what we've got to do.
Senator, do y'all have any power over the universities and schools, the colleges? Because a lot of people are saying, am I going to get my tuition back, my housing back, private schools, that kind of thing?
I think that this is something we need to strongly encourage and use whatever tools we have for universities, for instance, many of which are closing or moving to online classes, which is prudent, by the way. That's good. But I think if students are told, you need to go home, we need to close the dorms, then how about those meal programs that they've bought? How about their dorm rent that they're paying? There ought to be a mechanism for them to get relief for those things. I want to say I applaud universities who are sending kids out and saying we're going to move to online. That I think is very prudent. A number of schools, universities in the state of Missouri, in fact most of them, have done that. That is very smart. But yes, and we also need to think about student loan relief, student debt relief. I mean, listen, we are in an emergency situation, so we need to think about relief to families, relief to students, all across the board. We've all got to come together here.
The towns around those schools are now ghost towns because it might as well be summer. So everybody's affected by this. I just wish there was a way to attack this without bringing the economy to its knees.
Yes, and I think that's one of the reasons that we need to take steps now to get relief into the hands of workers and working families. And I come back to the fact that with 30 million kids, and it's going to be more, by the way, it's going to be more kids out of school, parents having to stay home. We need to expand unemployment for those who might have to lose their job. Unfortunately, at least in the short term because of this, we need to take care of those folks. But parents who are having to stay home or having to care for a kid, they need relief too, and that will help the economy.
Well, indeed. All right, Josh Hawley, thank you very much. We're all looking to Washington for guidance. Thank you, sir, for joining us live.
Thanks, Senator.
And I'm